What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is not going to be about me fixing my hair. It will be about my 7-star rank 3 Mr. Sinister. So, as you could tell by the thumbnail of this video, I used my 7-star generic awakening gem on Mr. Sinister. Now, Mr. Sinister is probably the most worthy candidate of a generic awakening gem for more specifically the reason of him being exclusive. There is, as of the recording of this video, which is February 25th, 2025, there is no other way to get Mr. Sinister outside of the original uh, Saga Chase Champion track for him with the tokens. That was the only way you could get Mr. Sinister, and there was no way to get him more than one time. So awakening him would only come from awakening gems. So I think because of that, and because of how incredibly powerful Mr. Sinister is, I think he is probably the best, or if not the best, one of the best options for a generic Awakening gem. And I happily used my generic on him, and I would have used a mutant as well, obviously. So if you're not familiar with what the Awakened ability does, it gives him 3 of these class-based abilities at the start of every single fight, as well as every time he defeats an opponent of a certain class, he gains one of those class abilities up to a max of 3 per each class ability, and it maxes out at 10 for like a total quest, not including the 3 you get at the beginning. So you can have up to 13 of these, which is crazy. So I'm just going to take him through Realm of Legends by himself alone, and we're going to build up these class soul abilities over time. Now, actually thinking about it, I probably should have an option for Vision, because that is going to be a matchup he's not going to do super well in. So let me just grab Thanos for the sake of it to make Vision a little easier. But that's the only fight that he really can't take, because Vision is a robot, and Sinister cannot apply his degenerations to robots. They are just immune to that ability of his. But Mr. Sinister, if you're not familiar with how the buff works, which if you're not, you might be sort of coming back to the game or maybe a new player, Mr. Sinister is all about extending the parry stun to give himself these genetic mutation passives. As you can see, I have those 2 icons building up. So the white one is going to inflict a bleed on me every like 0.7 seconds, and the yellow one is going to increase the potency of the degenerations that I apply to Winter Soldier. So I'm trying to get a parry off here, and he just does not want to go for it because Winter Soldier AI is super annoying. But in a normal situation where the AI is not bugging out like this and not wanting to go for parries and just standing around, Mr. Sinister feels amazing. And if you're in content where there is no limber or no sort of stun reduction, then you can simply do that heavy charge twice within a parry stun. It's pretty insane. So you're going to see right here, there's one time, and then I heavy charge again to keep the stun paused, and by the time I finish that, the DNs are already taking him down. So, not the absolute fastest, but it could have been way faster with more cooperative AI. That was only 24 hits. Pretty nuts. Pretty crazy. Sinister is amazing. And as you can see, I gained one of those persistent engineered perfection charges. So to go over what they do, the mutant one is a prowess, so it increases special damage by up to 30%, but it's 15 at 660. Skill is a precision, increasing his critical rating. Science increases his regen rate by, I believe, up to 20%. Mystic increases his combat power rate. That's a very powerful one, super underrated and very annoying on defense. That one also goes up to, I believe, 20%. And then Cosmic is a Fury, and I believe that attack increase can go up to around 1900 per Cosmic. So if you have 3 of those Cosmics stacked up, that's basically a 6,000 attack increase in every single matchup, not including the genetic mutations that you get at the beginning of each fight. You're always guaranteed to start the fight with 3, and those 3 do not count towards the maximum stack limit. So if you're in a longer quest and you're maxing out Sinister's genetic memory, or engineered perfection is what it's really called, but there's too many genetic symbols, so I'm calling it genetic memory. If you max that out in a quest, you can have a max of 13 of these running at one time. Pretty crazy stuff. Pretty wild stuff. So ideally when you're using Sinister, you want to be throwing your special one while you have the Vicious passive active. Obviously your bleeds are going to be ticking pretty much the entire time, so you don't have to worry about that necessarily. But if you don't throw the special one while the Vicious is active, the potency of those degens is not going to be as high. It's still going to be decent, but it's not going to be nearly as strong as it is right now. We're dealing 14,000 damage per second. We've barely even ramped up here, and that's with the Vicious passive. Without the Vicious, I think it goes down to around 8,000 or 7,500 per second. So still a lot of damage, but not nearly as much as when you would have the Vicious passive. So now I have 2 of those Cosmics. Now I have the guaranteed Cosmic for the rest of the quest, but I actually started with one of the Cosmics from the, from the genetic bank at the start of the fight. And right away, even with 8 degens, because I have that attack increase, I'm already dealing basically the same amount of damage I was dealing with 11 degens in the last matchup. So now I just pause again, go for another heavy attack. One great thing about Sinister is you can toss that special one. As soon as you land your heavy and knock the opponent down, you can toss your special one immediately, because it is always going to land. So let me see if I can show you what I mean by that. So as you can see, I'm about to knock down Juggernaut, knock him down, throw my special one immediately, and it always lands. Even if they block it, the degens go through the block, so you don't have to worry about your degens missing completely. They are always going to stick to the opponent one way or another. So now that's 3 of the genetic mutation, engineered perfection passives. So now I have the attack increase from Cosmic, the critical rating increase from Skill, and the combat power rate increase from Mystic. So Science is a regen rate. It's not going to matter too much in this quest, but it is one of the genetic mutations that I will be getting. And Sinister, the fact that he has the ramp-up capability for longer form content, as well as the ability to start each fight with 3 of those engineered perfection passives. Just having that makes him good for basically every level of health pool. So obviously in like modern MCOC, there's really 3 levels of health pools nowadays. There's short form content, which is like your battlegrounds and your side quests and your event quest, your medium form content, which is like your story quest, and then your long form content, which is like your EOP, and then anything beyond that also falls into the category of like long form or Everest content. Everest content is beyond the scope of long form content, at least in my MCOC lingo. I consider Everest content to be like the top content. But long-form content is like, Labyrinth of Legends style health pools, Eternity of Pain style health pools for the most part, not considering the 15 million health Ares, and stuff like that. But Sinister can handle any of those 3 levels, and he can even work for Everest style content. Like, he's very good for the Mutant Necropolis run. He's amazing in Abyss, because Abyss is based on hits and not time, and Sinister deals an incredible amount of damage in such a small amount of hits. It's pretty incredible. So we're at Storm here, and once I defeat Storm, I'm going to get the Mutant genetic mutation, which is a Prowess. Now, I don't believe the Prowess increases the damage of my degens, but it will increase my special damage as a whole. And the more special damage that I'm dealing, the better. Gotta love Realm of Legends AI. You really gotta love it. Being super passive, but it doesn't matter. We are still applying the degens here. Gonna go for a reparry, hopefully, and we land it. Nice. So now that degen is ticking for 9,100 per tick here. That's almost 20,000 damage per second. I'm gonna charge my heavy. Doesn't even matter that I'm getting hit. I'm going to toss my special one here. I have the Vicious still, so the damage number is going to be the exact same. And I don't even have to go for the heavy charge. She's just going to die from the degen. So all of these health pools are what I would consider to be medium form content health pools. 550,000 health. That's around what you would see in medium form content, like maybe a special event quest or some sort of piece of story content. Even though story content health pools are actually getting higher than, higher than around 550 and 600,000, it is still, for the most part, considered story content health pools. Now, I might consider just cutting this part of the video, because, this is not Mr. Sinister, this is Thanos. And I don't want to show off Thanos in a Mr. Sinister video. But if I don't cut this part of the video, hey, enjoy the, 30 seconds of Thanos gameplay that I am showing off here. Because Thanos is crazy, and he's very, very likely to be my next rank 4 7-star whenever we can get those. But yeah, anyway, back to Mr. Sinister gameplay here. Thanos is cracked. We don't need to talk about Thanos. He's just insane. But back to Sinister gameplay here after the little Thanos intermission. I just said that just in case I cut it, so, you know, I'm prepping for future May here. Now we are halfway ramped on our genetic memory charges. So we have, I don't even remember all that we have, but I know this will be my second skill charge. And look at that. I have 2 Cosmic, 2 Mystic, 2 Science, a Skill, and a Mutant. We are just ramping up the damage overall. My basic hits are actually starting to hit pretty hard. Like, when I crit on those basics and those specials, I'm dealing a pretty significant amount of damage. It is far, far from average. Black Panther just standing there doing absolutely nothing while my degens fell off. But even as he stood there and did nothing, the degens ticked him down to 60%, which is pretty crazy. So let's throw that right into his block. Doesn't matter. Now we're dealing over 20,000 damage per second with those degens ticking. If we can get him to come in for a parry, perfect. Now, if I can just keep those degens alive for a little bit longer, that should tick him away. Yeah, and there he goes. So 14 hits. And Mr. Sinister is a deceptively... What's even the word here? He's a deceptively high DPH character, damage per hit, because his damage is based on damage over time and not his hits, so his hits are going to be low. But his damage per hit is pretty ridiculous. So now we're on Scarlet Witch here. I have 3 Mystic charges, so I unfortunately will not be able to get another one, I don't believe, but I still have 2 Cosmic, 2 Mutant. I mean, the damage here, I'm heal blocked. It doesn't even matter. The heal block is going to run out before I would even need it. You know, I don't need it. It's Realm of Legends. But if I did need it, the duration would run out. Throw another special one here. I have a weakness on me, but it doesn't matter because, again, the weakness is going to fall off because all I'm doing is pausing the degens that I've already inflicted. So it's not like the degens are going to go down in damage, you know? The degens aren't just going to lose their potency because I got a weakness on me. So there you go. I mean, now at this point, we're just rolling here. The fights are consistently around 45 to 50 seconds, and that's just how Sinister is, man. You know, 500,000 health in 45 to 50 seconds is very, very, very solid. And in his ideal matchups for short-form content, you're going to be dealing around the same amount of damage and taking out health pools in around, you know, 40-ish to 45 seconds, while staying at basically 100% health, because Sinister is always regenning. If you're not paying attention to the self-bleeds that he's inflicting, that's willpower. All of that is willpower. So all of the time, Sinister is basically sitting at full health. Not to mention he has the benefit of the Bulwark passive from parry, which is keeping the block damage to basically nothing. On top of the regen, on top of the tankiness from Inequity, placing those debuffs on the opponent, he's just far and away the most worthy candidate for a generic gem, in my opinion. And if not the most worthy, within the top 5, surely, for 7 stars, because, man, this guy is something special. So now, we have 4 of the prowess, 3 of the critical rating increases, only 1 of the attack rating increases, but a hefty amount of the prowess and the critical rating. So I'm going to be critting a lot. As you can see, that whole special, and that basically the whole combo leading up to it, was a critical hit fiesta. And now, you know, even though the degens are not as powerful, the critical hits that I'm applying are sort of compensating for that. And, you know, the degens being not as powerful doesn't mean they're still not crazy. I mean, that's 8,000 damage per tick. And 16,000 damage per second here. And all I need to do is go for another combo, and if the special crits, he's dead. Didn't even need it. And look, even without the Vicious, that was still 6,000 damage per tick from the degens. So, still an incredible character. And this, we're not even going to finish ramping here. We have 1 more fight to go, so we almost have the full ramp up here, but we're not even going to get to fully ramp up. But look at that. 5 of the science ones, not ideal for that to be the one I get the most of, because it's not really doing anything. Cosmic or Mutant would have been preferable, but it doesn't matter because look at that regen rate. Like, I'm getting hit here. It is completely irrelevant. I'm going to toss a special one without the Vicious, and I'm still dealing 6,700 damage per tick here, so over 13,000 damage per second without the Vicious passive. You know, even without it, like I mentioned, you're still dealing an incredible amount of damage. So let's throw that. Hopefully he goes in for a little reparry here. Perfect. Just a normal parry. You know, that works for me as well. We're pausing those degens even more. He goes in for one more parry, and that's lights out for Hulk. Gonna throw this one special one, and it crits for 22k. Not the worst critical number in the world, especially for a champion who is not known for having high critical damage or high special damage. That was 12 hits. That's the insanity of Mr. Sinister. He is so low hit dependent, and that's what makes him just incredible. He is so good for content where hit conservation is important, like Abyss. So I'm going to show you an Abyss fight really quickly here, but before I do that, I want to show you that he's actually a solid option for Deathless Thanos because of that hit conservation. So like I mentioned, Mr. Sinister does not need to be constantly hitting the opponent. All he needs to do is charge his heavy, parry heavy, special one. Deathless Thanos punishes champions that have high combo counts, high hit counts, where they need to hit Thanos a lot. He punishes them pretty severely. But Mr. Sinister doesn't really need to worry about that, because all I'm going to be doing is pausing my degens, and parry heavy. And he's barely going to get those counterpunch charges because I'm barely hitting him. Obviously, this is not the most ideal situation, but, you know, he was able to handle Thanos there beautifully. And it's not going to be the fastest, obviously, but it's going to be super safe and super consistent. Sinister's going to stay at super high health. Thanos is not going to get any of his unstoppable passives or barely any counterpunch charges. So I think going forward, Sinister will be a very good option for Deathless Thanos in PvP, PvE content. But to finish off the video, I do want to show off an Abyss fight, and I'm going to put on Mr. Sinister's full synergy team here because he is a fantastic champion with the full synergy squad. So let's get probably the most important one, which is Apocalypse. Havoc is also very strong. And then I'll grab Mr. Fantastic as well for the debuff Siphoner, which is an incredibly powerful ability for not just Mr. Sinister, but a lot of champions. Deadpool X-Force also benefits quite a bit from this debuff Siphoner. So I don't even need Sinister to be a Horseman. It's completely irrelevant for this matchup. All I need is that debuff Siphoner to be on. And yeah, now we have the full synergy Mr. Sinister. Ideally, I get at least one of the cosmic, so I get the attack increase. Perfect. All right, I got the attack increase, and I got the special damage increase, which is very nice. The Havoc synergy is granting me a pretty hefty degen on my well-timed block. And of course, that can be paused as well. Not just the special one degens, but that one as well can get paused. So now, with the full synergy here, we're looking at almost 15,000 damage per second with those degens being paused. 12,000 per tick, and yeah, this is just silly. We've only hit Thing 8 times, now 9 into the block, but it's just ridiculous how incredibly powerful Mr. Sinister is. Do another heavy charge here. Throw this. Land it right into his face. Gonna hit him. I was gonna say try to hit him 2 times there, but now we can hit him that final time, that 15th and final time to get the rock stacks over 15. And again, right back to the same loop. We are just pausing the degens, keeping Thing at bay, not really allowing him to trigger any defensive threat here because we have total control over the matchup. The Apocalypse synergy is increasing Sinister's degeneration potency by 50%. The Mr. Fantastic debuff is increasing the potency by, I believe, 25%. So that's a nice, hefty increase. And then, of course, Havoc is giving Mr. Sinister that degen on parry. So we have the additional guaranteed, like, 4,000 damage per second every time I parry. Alright, we're going to hope that he... I was going to say hope that he throws that. I'm just going to throw that into his block. Not a huge deal. Now I'm getting comboed here. Of course, wonderful. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Hopefully he doesn't throw this. Okay. Now we can reset here. You know, that's the thing about Thing is sometimes he just does not want to cooperate, and there's nothing you can really do. Nothing you can really do. Was hoping that he would go for, I believe, a medium combo earlier, and he just didn't, but it's no big deal. We're still dealing 20,000 damage per second with those degens. We still have the parry degen from the Havoc synergy. Again, just coming in for the parry. That's the ideal thing for the opponent to do, is just come in right for the parry. Alright, now hopefully I can get a parry light here. Perfect. So now it's going to push him over 15. And he's going to throw this. Mr. Sinister, if you're not aware, can block unblockable special attacks. So that's why I just decided to block that. Because typically I would dex, but because I hadn't shown that off in this video yet, I figured it was worth showing off. So now this should be the last hurrah of Thing. He should be pretty much gone if I can get another parry going here. Yeah, this should be the end here for Mr. Thing. And I don't even need to hit him again because the degen is just going to tick him down. So even losing my combo, even getting clipped there, that was 51 hits for 2.7 million health in just over 3 minutes. Not the best matchup, but again, that's a realistic showcase of what it could look like. Obviously, Thing was a little stingy there and did not play along into everything that I was showing, but Sinister is still crazy. And I really hope this video helped illustrate how insane Sinister is and how worthy I consider him to be of that generic gem, because all of those class-based abilities are just so clutch and so incredibly powerful that it makes sense to awaken him, and I will absolutely be putting Sig Stones into him going forward. He's disappeared now. He's become the Invisible Woman, but that's besides the point. Thank you all very much for watching this video. If you liked it, and I really hope that you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and also hitting like, because both of those things are incredibly helpful for the channel and will help propel the channel further into the YouTube algorithm, and it lets the algorithm itself know that I'm making content that people are enjoying. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and please let me know if my mic quality was good in this video. I tried to adjust those settings to make myself sound louder, so if I sound louder, perfect, let me know. And if I don't, let me also know so I can try and fix it more. In any case, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.